Okay, this is a continuation of my last rant of the 13th of April 2020. Oh, what am I saying? It's actually May. My God. Um, yeah. Okay, so I keep saying it's April, but have a look at this. Can you see that this box and this? Out of all of that, out of all the mess like this that I've picked up, I'll have to get rid of, I found this. This is perfect. And I've just been talking about my aunt. Now, I hope these people don't mind, but the day I bought the lotto ticket, our dear dog Rexy had been put down, and now that's my nephew Abijah with his half sister and her mother. This is a photo, and my sister hates being in photos, but this is a photo of Auntie Margot, Abijah, Misha, and my sister. So we used to have a bit of fun when we went to see her, as in look at the cowboy hats and look how nice she kept her house. And this is a lady that we were sus on because this lady was a houso that lived across the road. My great aunt was not a houso, and she used to come and borrow money. My auntie used to tell me, and she also was on with the gardener guy that my auntie knew that actually claimed my auntie's will. And I remember going into town in the city once near Hyde Park, and I saw that lady wearing my auntie's jewellery and a cardigan of my aunt's. I think her name was Diane. She had some boys. She did tell me that aunt was over her place one day, and they tried to say that my aunt was insane. Anyway, funnily enough, was she was there with two other probably house own neighbours, and the guy Boskoski, Chris Boskoski, was at the law court section where the probates is. So yeah. Anyway, the day that he was there, we saw. Oh well, I saw that Diane in Hyde Park wearing my auntie's goods. Very ironic that she was our flesh and blood, and we were very close, and then she passes, and I will have to tell you this story. Oh look, there's my sister and Margot, and there's Margot and the boys again. Um, anyway, look, okay. Why I'm documenting all of this? Because I don't have room to take photos on my phones. I have to go through my phone. So this is brilliant for me. Possibly I'm only the one to see this, but I'm documenting my journey and trying to find my lotto ticket if it still exists. And I look up on the wall, and I know there's a bit skits, but jumping. But I've got Jenny Evans and her number up on my wall. She's the first witness, like from sight, that I remember seeing this lady, and I approached her in Cairns, and her husband had emailed me their credit card statement the very next day with their lotto purchase. But this has never been investigated, not by Lotto nor the Justice Department, so they don't give a shit. Um, okay, so while I'm going through my mess here, and there's a big mess, I find things that are perfectly intact. So I found this just as I had been talking about my auntie. And it's funny when you keep things. That's probably why I keep things, because I like to keep things close to me. So, I mean, this lotto ticket, it exists. The win exists, but I need the ticket to prove it pretty much, because lotto only give you three chances, and if if you don't guess the time to the second, I believe, or the date and the type of ticket, all three variables in one, you're not going to get it. Even if you get two things right and you're that close, that they just don't have to pay it out. But what I will mention about this lady Diane and this Chris Boskowski was, when found out that my great aunt was in hospital, I went over to see her, and one of the nurses, or sisters at the hospital, and her name was Anna, if I remember, actually said, "Oh, it's so nice to see someone um, visiting her." And I said, "Hasn't she had any visitors?" And she said no. And at this stage, my aunt was unconscious. And anyway, and I said, "How come my dad was not contacted when she was in hospital?" And this was a repeated thing that we had to fix, was that my dad was her next of kin, but this Boskoski guy claimed to be next of kin. Now, on one occasion of me visiting my aunt, we found out, well, I found out Mr. Boskoski was there, and he was on one, say, this is my aunt, I was on this side of the bed, and he was on the other side of the bed, and he started stroking my aunt, and he'd said, "Oh, Auntie Margot," he didn't even call her by her name. He goes, "Oh, like I'm so sorry. You're the love of my life." And he said it very softly. And I said, "What?" And the nurse's station was out the door. I said, and he said that she's my wife. I said, "You're not married." Oh, yeah, that can be de facto, but they weren't. And then he got at the end of the bed and he started laughing, saying, "Auntie Margot, you're going to die." Now, how cruel is that? And I said, "Oh, actually, this Anna nurse that approached me as I was going to see my aunt said, like that she was unconscious and she came to hospital in an ambulance." And I said, "Wasn't there, someone with her, a man?" And they said, "No." So I actually said to this Chris Boskoski character in the hospital room, I said, "If you love this woman so much," and I didn't want to be horrible to my aunt, but, I wanted her to see, even in her unconscious state, I said, "Why did you not come to hospital with her?" And he said, "Oh, I followed the ambulance, but I had to go back to her house to have lunch with someone," which would have been that Diane lady. And I thought, how cruel. Like, if you love someone, you stay with them in hospital. You look, oh, it's too upsetting anyway. So, anyway, to find pictures of my aunt now when I'm going through this lotto, uh, I'll end here. But, maybe she's going to help me find a ticket. And also in those photos was Rexy. That was a dog that sadly got put down around the time that I bought the ticket. And the other thing was when Mum and Dad were both in North Shore Hospital, we found out it was Auntie was in hospital, so this must have been 4 days before my aunt passed away. And it was Mum and Dad's anniversary. So I went around North Shore Hospital. My dad, I think, had a knee replacement. Mum was just in there because she had kidney problems. I I had to take him out for the day, and we went to visit my great aunt in hospital at Campbelltown. But she was unconscious. So my feeling is that Mr. Boskoski drugged her, called an ambulance. He never called a family, which was us, and we wouldn't have known she'd passed away had we, or we wouldn't have known she was in hospital had we not continually rang around. He kept saying she was asleep, but we rang around the hospitals in the area. So look, he's just one of these nasty people, and lived on the back of my great aunt. Apparently, I did a bit of research at the time. Look, he tried to put my auntie. He tried to tell a doctor that she was mental, but he kept putting stuff in a drink. And on one occasion, my dad and I found out she was in Fairfield Hospital, and this is after she had been in Liverpool or Campbelltown Hospital. And my dad and my sister had found out she was in hospital, and this guy was trying to say that she was mental. So we didn't know that he had already claimed that he was her de facto. And it was always a chase for us because dad was next of kin and he kept changing the hospital records and saying that he was her husband. And on this one occasion, and I think it was in 2011, hang on, no, that's when she passed. Okay, like a few years earlier, um, he was skiding about how he'd bought and sold a house, but he'd only had one house, and we thought he was still married to someone, and we knew that he was helping one of his sons in the building game, and okay, what I found out when I did my research was, and this is what Boskowski, the cook, said to my sister and my dad. Oh, I've just bought and sold a house, and this is the day that my great aunt coincidentally is put into hospital, and he's tried to claim that she's mental. And it, okay, and the other thing is he bought himself a Rav 4 car as well the same day. In one day, there's a sick woman supposedly, and he's done that. And then we found out she got transferred to Fairfield in this psych wing. So me and Dad went over there, and we said we saw my auntie, and then this guy turns up, and he was all with aftershave, and he had a pair of jeans and a nice buckle and everything. And he never dressed like that when we'd ever seen him before. So he's probably visiting some lady, or full of glee because he's got my aunt almost incarcerated as being mental. And he comes into the hospital like some flip, and there was one lady was sort of going talking to herself, and that they were all sort of elderly people, and they clearly not well. And he brought some biscuits and he put them on the table, and he goes, Auntie Margot, what are you doing in here? That's what he said to my aunt. I said to him, you're the one that put her in here. And then I said I was going to the toilet when I saw one of the male nurses walking up the corridor. And I said to him, you realise that there's nothing wrong with my aunt, that he's been trying for a long time to say this, that she's mental. We live so far away. So anyway, it was not long after that my aunt, he tried many times, I think, to get her put away for being mental. And he also tried, um, look, he was always playing with the power of attorney. My dad was power of attorney, so he fraudulently got that. He was able to access money out of a bank account. She liked to have a little tipple and liked to have a dance, and I've seen him put medication in one of the drinks. So look, he just can't be trusted. And really, I can't say that he loved my aunt because he was only around for the money. And at many Christmas times, would we um, not always see her on Christmas Day because it was far away. We'd invite her over, but it's too hard to organise all this. But we'd ring her up and she'd be in tears because she was on her own. And in fact, I saw a video. Oh, I could just talk so much about this bloke, but he just benefited from my aunt's money. And there was a room downstairs where he'd keep all his gear. My auntie let him keep his gear. He didn't live there. And there was piles like this of lotto tickets. And I don't think, like, he bought so many lotto tickets that on a disability pension that he could afford that. And apparently one time he won 69,000 and he bought a big TV. So I was watching this video of his family, and it was one Christmas that had only just happened before. Actually, that's right, because we saw my aunt just before she passed. in January, and this was after Christmas, after she didn't spend Christmas with him. And he was with his family and had this big pool with an enclosure. And I found out later when I was doing research that apparently the day that he bought and sold the house, well, he was telling the news to my sister and my dad in hospital when Aunt was in there. He bought himself a RAV4. At the same time, his son, who has a building called SOS Constructions, and I've got to be careful because they're probably bad people, his son was skyding about in Ukraine that he bought. And I'm thinking, man, this guy's on disability pension. He's claiming to be my aunt's husband when he's not. And my aunt's lost half a dozen properties and his son's just bought a crane. Anyway, got to be really careful here. But so going through these boxes is bringing a lot of memories to me, and it would be lovely if I can find the ticket. But it's also good to have a big cleaner, and I'm never going to forget my aunt and what that guy did to her. And yeah, I don't wish that guy any good because justice has to be served there. Yeah. I feel like to find the ticket or to honour the numbers that I chose would be justice for me, even if I give most of the funds away, which I probably will do. I used to go to visit my aunt's gravesite and write little notes for her saying, like, always think about you. And then when I'd won the lotto and lost it, I'd say, oh, um, help if you can. And really, there was nowhere to put where her plaque was. There's nowhere to put the notes. And we could see no one else was visiting a grave, as in this guy, he's just taken the money and run off. But I'd just leave him under the grass because there was this like thick grass there. And I suppose that made me feel better. So now I'm just unraveling all my hoard and am delighted when I find photos that somehow were protected in that big wet box that's full of cockroaches and ants and things like that. And I have to clear up now. Anyway, thanks.